Congress should be doing quite a number of things, including legislatively. They should be passing a law to extend the statutes of limitations. On most of these crimes we're talking about, the spying, the torture, and so forth, the statutes of limitations have already expired or will soon. John Conyers proposed this in January, hasn't lifted his little finger to do it. There should be a bill to do that. The only exception really is where there's a dead body. There's no statute of limitations on murder or on torture to death, and there are many cases of torture to death, but there are many cases of torture short of death as well. There are bills, good bills in both houses called the State Secrets Protection Act to restrict somewhat the power to claim state secrets and throw out court cases or block information. Those should be pushed hard. There's no excuse for any member of Congress not to be signed on. Congresswoman Lee and Congressman Wexler have a bill to create a commission. Does not require the Senate, so it has a chance of happening, to investigate all of this stuff. Congressman Conyers has a similar proposal. Congresswoman Baldwin has a toothless resolution to advance the conversation on all of these points. There's a bill to change the rules so that more than 8 Congress members are given secret briefings about classified intelligence, which has been disastrous, because of which 8 people have had that privilege. But fundamentally, Congress has to be forced to take back power, and it can't do that without using the 2 powers that are central to its existence as a body in our government, and those are subpoena and impeachment. And in the last Congress, there were dozens of subpoenas simply ignored. Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, dozens. So I'm not going to comply with that. Okay, that's that. In this Congress, they aren't subpoenaing anybody, because they know that this Justice Department, like the last one, isn't going to be helpful. And they are terrified of enforcing their own subpoenas. But any committee on either side of the hill has the undisputed power to send the Capitol Police to literally hold in contempt anyone who does not comply to the satisfaction of the committee. And if you won't come around to doing that, you'll have no power. And if you won't impeach anyone of or formerly of the executive branch, you will have no power against that branch. Congress this year impeached a judge for groping people. Okay, I'm not supporting groping people, but Jay Bybee has a lifetime appointment in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, whose name is at the bottom of memos legalizing torture, legalizing aggressive war. His crimes are in black and white, in memos that he signed. If you cannot impeach him, who can you ever impeach? And to be afraid that you would be accused of going after a conservative judge, regardless of the fact that he legalized torture, that level of cowardice, that need to bust up the media monopolies is where this all comes down to. We've now just recently learned videotapes of the torture of al-Qahtani. There are memos galore, we celebrate these memos we've gotten, and we know of dozens we haven't, and who knows how many unknown unknowns, as Rummy would put it. There are reports we haven't been given. There's testimony we could hear. There is no excuse. Senator Patrick Leahy, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, asks Jay Bybee in April, would you mind, would it be any inconvenience to come in and talk to the United States Senate? And Bybee says, basically, go Cheney yourself. And Senator Leahy says, okay, sorry I bothered you. And that's that. There is no excuse not to subpoena these people and drag them in, because the Justice Department has already openly stated, and the President of the United States, of whose business it is not at all, have publicly stated that these folks will all have immunity, that they're only going to possibly go after low-ranking bad apples. It's time for Congress to step in. States and localities can pass resolutions. You can pass ordinances that say if these criminals set foot in Santa Fe, they will be arrested, just as they will if they go to Brattleboro, Vermont, and other towns in New England that have passed this. You can pass resolutions that your locality, your city, will comply with international treaties that the United States is one of the few holdouts on, as Berkeley just did this week. You can make citizens arrests of people like Donald Rumsfeld. And I encourage you to go to afterdowningstreet.org/citizensarrest for some tips and advice. There are all kinds of reforms we need through Congress. We need the signing statements done away with, and there's a bill that would partially do that from Senator Specter, of all people. We need the executive orders making laws blocked. We need the secret memos blocked. We need the pardon power restricted, so you can't tell someone to commit a crime and then pardon it. We need the War Powers Act amended to strip away unconstitutional presidential war powers. We need war profiteering criminalized. We need mercenaries banned. We need the empire shut down. We need the standing army reduced. We need to repeal the bad laws that Congress passed in the past 8 years, the Detainee Treatment Act, the Military Commissions Act, FISA, the Patriot Act, which they're now reauthorizing. We need a bill to block sovereign immunity claims, which is an exaggeration of state secrets claims, and Senator Specter again has a bill on this one. We need all of these reforms, but if we aren't going to enforce the laws we've got and the Constitution we've got, then there's not much point. And nothing has changed. We aren't moving in a better direction. In fact, we have in some ways less even rhetoric about resistance from Congress now than we did last year. And so there are all kinds of issues we have to lobby our representatives on, healthcare and workers' rights and the environment and so forth, but we have to move up in the list of priorities, things that are not on their radar at all, or minimally so, including taking back powers that Congress doesn't want. Congress doesn't want any power. Their loyalty is to a party, not a branch of government, and for the better half of Congress, their party is actually led by the executive, who was supposed to be the guy who faithfully executes the will of Congress. So there's an inversion of how things are supposed to work. And we have to make it harder for them to ignore us than to ignore the leader of their party. So I'd like to open it up to any ideas anybody has for a while, and then towards the end to actually see if we can make a plan to do something. Yes, sir?
Two questions. How long have you been at this? That's the third question. No, really.
At trying to hold these people accountable?
Political action. Political activity.
Well, we
No, you personally.
I personally and a couple of friends, we started a website and a coalition called AfterDowningstreet.org in May of 2005. I had been working in other political activism activities since maybe 1998. Not that I've been completely out of it before that, but...
I've been at it since the mid-60s. So I'd like to know, how do you keep yourself going? No, really. I mean, I have been burned out for the last 2 or 3 years. I've been at this for over 30 years. And,
It sounds like I should be asking you.
Well, but I'm burned out now, and I want to know, I mean, I'm here, so that's saying something.
Yeah, you're not burned out.
Well, no, this is the first thing I've been at in quite a while. And look, there's only 20 people here, 15 people here, and Santa Fe is a pretty active political town, relatively speaking, in the United States. So if we've only got 15 or 20 people here, and I'm burned out, and you've looked down, so how do we get, no, really, I mean, we're not going to change anything that you just talked about until this room is packed.
I'm going to answer his question when he's done.
Until this room is packed, and cities around the country have rooms like this packed. Because, well, you just explained that Congress doesn't do anything, and they don't want to do anything. So how are we going to get the people in this room and rooms around the country to mobilize so we can do some things you're talking
Thank you. I understand the question perfectly. It is the #1 question far and away that I get at least several times at every event.